All right. So let me start with a brief event introduction. So PesaSavvy Limited is a company that offers tailor-made financial education training delivered through practical, engaging webinars, workshops like the one we're going to have today, physical workshops or online workshops, seminars or webinars which are online. We do coaching, one-on-one coaching. We also offer online courses, conversational learning, hands-on assignments. Anyone who has worked with me one-on-one will tell you that there's always something you have to go and do, because if you're sitting and hoping to act in theory, then your financial situation and your financial position will not change. As at 2026 is our 8th year of operation. Actually, as of October, we had hit 7 years. So we are operating in our 8th year. We started our 8th year. I guess that's what it means. We've run very many workshops, worked with very many individuals on one-on-one capacity, and reached thousands over with the other content, whether it's online courses, the chamas and workshops and all those things. If I congregate all of that, it's really in the thousands, and it's been a pleasure to do that over the past 7 years. Now, my name is Juliet Odhiambo. I love Jesus very much. I also love Sherlock Holmes very much, not as much as Jesus, but well enough. I love balconies, and I love sitting at balconies. I have a BCom in finance from Kenyatta University. I have an MA in development studies from USIU. My thesis when I was at USIU was actually based on family-based chamas. So that's why I have a very soft spot on chamas and the whole concept of community money or our money. I am a former banker, and I'm also the founder of PesaSavvy. I'm the lead coach at PesaSavvy, which has won awards in the past. Because of my faith, I'm in pursuit of wealth, but not just wealth, but kingdom wealth. I'm also on a mission to help at least 1 million Kenyans invest their first 10 million over the next few years of operations. So that is me. I also want to share with you a little bit. Hopefully, in the future, you'll give me time to talk to you about our flagship program, which is Our Money Year. Our Money Year is a year-long subscription program for financial wellness and financial literacy. It's actually a community program, which went really well in 2025. We worked with over 250 individuals over a span of 12 months, really beginning in January and ending in December. So this year it's running again. So hopefully you'll give me the opportunity to talk about that as we go along. It's actually beginning now, because you are in this module, you're doing this workshop, you're already part of the Our Money Year 2026, but you can choose to proceed with us for the rest of the year. If you find me, worth working with, which I hope you will. Now, over the next 3 weeks, we're going to cover a series of topics around goal setting. I did not want to overwhelm the information in one session because I find that to be ineffective. I will rush through the things, but I want you to be I want this to be practical. I want this to be something you can go and institute immediately and effect immediately. And I want you to take this information and be able to change the way you're going to approach your entire goal setting journey. So today we are going to cover why your financial goals fail. Right? So we're going to look at the history, the past. Next week on Monday, same time. By the way, I had that I logged in and saw some people had logged in at 7. The meeting starts at 8 p.m. The workshop starts at 8 p.m. Right? So we are also going to discuss how to set financial goals that work. So that will be the practicality of next Monday session. And then in our third session, we're going to talk about how to bulletproof your financial goals. There are practical things that you can do to ensure that you actually succeed at what you want to be able to do. Right? I hope we are on the same page. So today, this is then the focus area. Why do your financial goals keep failing? Of course, I'm making an assumption that they are failing. If you are on a success path, that is also well and good. But if you're failing, I'm going to walk you through some of that. So we're going to look at your past. In the past, when you have been very serious with your goals, you started really well, you've prayed about them, you've been disciplined. Why do they still fail? I hope you will walk this walk with me. The other thing I want to make sure that we do, because it is a workshop, the reality of a workshop, or how workshops work is that it's practical. So if you are here, you don't have a pen, you don't have a paper, wherever you sit your seat, you're listening from, you are lying on your bed, you're cooking ugali. Imagine, just give us 60 minutes of your time. Have 60 minutes to just sit down and follow through. The other day I had a rant about how people are always off video. In fact, if I can see you on video, then I can tell, oh, so and so is actually writing on her notebook, and so I know she's following or he's following. So I want you to follow. There are some instances where I will actually stop and expect you to write something down. And if you don't have a pen and a paper, then you will not be able to do that. So please just confirm for me in the chat. I have pen, I have paper. I have pen, I have paper. I have pen and I have paper. So let me know in the chat. I'm going to give you a few minutes to also go and collect your pen and paper if you don't have it, and make it a habit when you join a learning session like this one, not to come empty-handed. As human beings, we believe that our minds can capture a lot of information, but in reality, our minds, we are very forgetful. So there are things I will say that you will forget. Please get your pen and paper. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to go and get it. Let's give them 2 minutes as I read some of your comments. Anne said she's here to clarify real goals and understand how to calculate cash flow. Bridget from Machakos is here to improve money stewardship journey. I hope I've understood that. Somebody said, woman of God, I know things. I have pen and paper. I have notebook. I always have pen. Well done. Well done, Kemunto. All right. Oh, Myla said she has a session with me tomorrow for one-on-one coaching. Wonderful. All right, so let's start. We're actually going to start with that. That's the reason I needed you to go and get your pen and paper, because I want us to start with a question that that I'll give you another 3 minutes. So the first thing I want us to do, when you look at 2025, this is our first exercise. I want you on your notebook to have two columns on a page. Have column 1, column 2. In column 1, I want you to write at least one thing, but if you can write 3, that would be good. The financial activities that you consistently invested time, energy, money in, right? So what is by activity? I want you to think about something you did that needed your time and money and energy, financial activity. So you put energy towards buying something or investing or clearing your debt, or think a bit holistically. I've just done some general things that people do with money. What financial activities can you say you consistently worked on the whole 2025 on one column? That is column A. Column B, I want you to, out of all those things you wrote, which one actually had progress? Which one produced real progress that you can say, I actually, because of this, I was able to achieve this? So column 1 and column 2, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to answer that. Which activities did you invest in? Did you participate in? Did you engage in that needed your time? Primarily money, because we are on a financial goal setting, and your energy that needed money, time, energy, but focus on money, right? Because we are doing financial goals, and then all financial activities. And then now in the second column, which one can you say you succeeded in? I'm giving you 2 minutes to do that. Somebody's saying there's no sound. Can you hear me? Sarah, maybe it's on your end. Okay, thank you. All right. I hope this exercise is clear. If it's not clear, just feel free to ask. Financial activities. There are many financial activities you can engage in, even spending or buying something, or even budgeting. You tracked your expenses. You did that, and it related to. I've given several examples. Don't just look at it as bills or surviving. I want you to think about the thing that enabled you to pay the bill, the thing that enabled you to actually survive. I don't like the word surviving, but yeah, there are different types of activities that you could engage in. Expense tracking, budgeting, clearing debt, even borrowing. Why did you borrow? What activity did you engage in that required money or involved money? Yeah. If you are here and you participated in the Our Money Year 2025, that's a financial activity. You paid for it. Was it worthwhile? Those kind of things are what I want you to think. Either something you put in effort and money and then it resulted in more money, or something that a financial activity that resulted in you having stability or clarity over your finances. Wow, Mary, I'm literally giving examples. I've just given like 10 examples already. Those are the examples I'm talking about. I want you to write them on your document. All right. Let me know once you have written on column A, column B. Gladys says, my example from Our Money Year, she did a savings challenge that bore fruit and used some of the money to pay bills. Yes, exactly. And when you think about it, especially something that you are able to do consistently through the year. And by the way, it's possible that you cannot think of anything. It's possible that there was nothing that you engaged in, which is fine. So just say nothing. Yeah, if you are racking your brain and you're like, I can't think of something, that means you already have a shortage in that. Yes, there will be a recording. It will be sent immediately after we sign out, at least within 30 minutes after the workshop is over. All right. Please let me know in the chat if you're done. Just type 1 if you're done. 1. Good. All right. I'm going to continue. So on a scale of, based on just that exercise we've done, imagine you have just, if that whole year was your final year of high school, if 2025 was your final year of high school, and you are using the grading system, A, B, C, A plus, B plus, D plus, E, how would you grade yourself based on 2025? If 2025 was your Form 4, okay, I don't know, is it still Form 4? I think so, KCSE, your final year of high school, of secondary school, and you are to grade yourself, grade your financial position, what would you be your grade? what would you grade yourself on a scale of A to E? You can also say plus, minus, or plain. Okay, I'm seeing some E pluses. Oh, there's an A. Good, 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 good. I've seen some A's. And I've seen an E as well. Okay, good, good, good. Be honest also, be honest with yourself. You know, sometimes we think very highly of ourselves. And these grades you're giving yourself really are just based on that exercise. So you're gauging yourself, you're your own standard. You have your own standard that you're using to grade yourself. All right. Now, the reasons why financial goals fail, I'm going to say some of them, several of them, and then I'm going to zero in on one that we'll spend most of the rest of the hour talking about. So one of the most common financial reasons why financial goals fail is that your goal is numerically incoherent. Like especially because it is a financial goals. It's not a financial goal if there's no number. I can't even see what it is you're trying to achieve from a numbers perspective, right? So here it says incoherent just means that the numbers don't make sense. I can't understand. That might be one level which you might, at least you're trying to put numbers. There's some people who write financial goals and there's no number at all. So you'll tell me something like, me, I just want to be rich. I'd be like, as a coach, as a money coach, I'll say being rich is nice. Being rich is nice. Even me, I want to be rich, but I don't know how to help you to become rich. I cannot help you become rich. But if you can put parameters to what rich means, right? Are you rich when you own acres of land? Are you rich when you have 10 million invested? Are you rich when you have savings? What's your definition of that rich? And you put a number to it, then I can actually help you to achieve it. So if number one, your goal does not have a number, and then even if it has a number, it does not make sense. The numbers are not adding. The math is not mathing. You tell me something like, me, I want to, and this is very common how people write financial goals. I want to save 10,000 shillings every month. For what? Towards what? How will you know that you have reached your goal? It's what you have written is the activity you're going to do, but the finish line is not clear. So even the effort, whether that 10,000 is sufficient, we still cannot know. So those are the mistakes that I see people make. Your numbers are just not making sense, right? Number two, goals fail because you assume a stable income when you have irregular income. Okay, so a very common challenge is somebody who, you commit to saving a certain amount every month, and yet you don't get paid every month. So you need to, when your income is irregular, you have to kind of adjust how you're going to work on those goals. So that's what we're going to cover next week in terms of how would you actually write the goal if you have irregular income. Is it a percentage, or what's the strategy to use? So when you assume I'm going to do 10K, 10K, 10K every month until X, and yet you out of all those months you will be paid 3 of those months, of course you're already going to fail. You won't achieve what it is you're trying to do. So you need to write that goal better. Goals also fail when they compete with non-negotiables. That means that the goal you've written a goal, but it's like you're absent about the other things. In fact, I was just talking to our client before this. I think she's on the call already. About how you can commit to something and you subconsciously forget that you already have other things that are non-negotiable. I already pay rent every month. I already have to do this. And then you have this other goal that is huge and humongous. And so the two of them are going to compete, right? You will not have money for one or the other. And that might result to you borrowing or not doing the thing altogether. So that's already a reason why your financial goal could fail. Your goal could fail because you didn't consider the person you need to become or the habits you need to imbibe in order to achieve those goals that you have indicated. All right. So if you say I want to My goal is to build an emergency fund. However, for me to be able to build an emergency fund, I need to be a saver. I need to have that capacity to have some money set aside, or I need to reduce my expenses, in which case to reduce my expenses requires me to deal on my spending habits. So there's a habit that is attached to that goal. You need to be able to identify what that habit is and determine your capacity, capability, or effort that you can put towards imbibing that habit or becoming the kind of person who can achieve that goal. Financial goals also fail because the timelines do not match the nature of the goals. Not all goals are equal. Next week, we'll talk about the different time frames that you can give the financial goals as part of your writing. But for now, I'll just say you need to be conscious of this is a goal. It cannot be achieved in 1 month or in 1 year. This is a goal that will take a span of 5 years. And so when you look at the effort that it requires, even on a monthly basis, you might then realize either you do not have or you have the capacity. So if you don't have the capacity, then you also want to be very cognizant of what you can do about it. All right. This number 6 reason is because you assume emotional neutrality towards your financial goals. And this is good and bad at the same time, in the sense that emotional neutrality means that you remove yourself out of the equation. I love to say that money is a very rational and very practical and very pragmatic thing. The problem is that money requires Juliet to move in a certain direction. But Juliet was created with emotion of which she actually has not mastered her emotion. And so you've not considered, as you write the goal, you've not considered burnout. You've not considered, how do I deal with when I'm not motivated to achieve this goal? How will I handle this when I have FOMO about a trip and I want to go? That's an emotional decision that people often end up making, especially for a plan they did not have that needs funding, but you didn't have it in your numbers at the beginning. So when you're writing the goal, you assume that things will work out perfectly. So it's almost assumed that you won't interfere with the success of the goal. So you have to imagine, if I am potentially the worst, my own worst enemy towards my financial goals, what are those things that I do or how I think that will keep this goal from happening? And you have to be conscious, bring that to the forefront. Don't bury your head in the sand and assume that's not going to happen. And then the goals fail when they're not embedded within a full financial plan or a financial system. So you write a goal, but you've not written how that goal sits in your budget. Because a full financial system looks at the vision, the goal, it looks at the income, it looks at the accounts. All that is your personal financial system. So you have to look at how this goal is and how it fits within my system. How will I, while goals are good to write, the system is actually what will make it work. I'm already feeding into what I'll tell you in session number 3, in day 3. You have to have a system and you have to think about how this goal fits into the system. And then the goal is also the goals fail because they are not reviewed in light of reality. Right? So half the time people fail because you shoot yourself in the foot, because the plan you've written is already failed before you even start. You are not practical, you're not realistic, you're not thinking. You can't say that you want to have 10 million shillings invested by the end of 2026 and you earn 50,000 shillings a month. You get what I mean? I mean, that's a way out there example, but that's what I mean. That you're not practical or realistic about how you've written. All right. So when you look at all these things, your heart might be in the best place. In fact, you actually work very hard towards doing this. But if all these things are wrong, then you're going to fail. Your goal is going to fail. Okay. If all these things are not in place, your goal is going to fail. you might not even be lazy. You're not lazy. In fact, a lot of the people I've worked with, they're not necessarily lazy. They just they lack some of the things we've talked about, but they also lack clarity of execution. All right. So if you have seen yourself in those reasons that I've just listed, I would actually want you to, before you do that, allow me to see if I can. Okay. Ah, I was trying to see if there's a question. Feel free as we go along to ask your question on the chat, and then as we go along, Afi will look them out, and I'll be able to answer your question as we go along or towards the end. Okay, so your reason for failing your financial goals might not even be that you are lazy in any way, right? It's just that you didn't have some of those things that we have talked about. You didn't have the foundations and the basic set, and so you set your financial goals in January in 2025. You wrote them. You are very, intentional. You had very strong intention and motivation to achieve them. And then around March, you start to lose momentum. And then by the time we are in June, July, we are done. You don't have anything to show for it. A good number of people achieved, the ones we did the Money Year program with, as my namesake Juliet is saying. Who said it? I'm checking the chat as well. Yes, Juliet. That the A she gave herself is because of our money. I saw a lot of people being able to do things because we looked at the entire year, and because we looked at the entire year, we paced ourselves. You're not running a sprint; you're actually doing a marathon. And the marathon means that you're going step by step, and you can see the places in the marathon that you need to pause, breathe. You have people to engage. You have people to talk with. You have people to run ideas with. You have people to run ideas with so that you can achieve the goal. If you're on a isolated journey, there are very high chances that by the time it's July, you give up because you actually feel like you're the only one doing it. But when I'm doing this with people, so you have people to keep you accountable, but you can also see how people are struggling but picking themselves up again. So I guess we could actually say that's partly also why goals fail, because you're moving in isolation. You're moving in isolation. You have all these things in your head. They're not even written down. Yeah. And so you stop at that point. The point of income irregularity is that you have a goal that you have said you're going to do every month, but your income is not every month. You can't say that I'm going to save my emergency fund by putting aside 50,000 shillings every month, and yet in January you get paid, Feb and March you don't get paid, you get paid in April. So what happened to your goals in Feb and March? That's what I meant, that because of that irregularity, the matching between the way you wrote the goal and how your income comes, you actually they don't work together. All right. And so that's the reason you end up failing. So you keep thinking that if I just try harder, if I just push myself a bit more, it will work out next time. And that's why you get yourself in that cycle. Because if you drop it off in June, you're already thinking, okay, let me just wait for January 2026. Let me just wait for the new year, the next new year, right? And next new year, I'll just try harder so that I do better. But because the ground is already falling and it's eating me up, let's stop this goal in June. We'll try again next year. So that's what happens. But what happens again when you come in January, you repeat the same cycle, you repeat the same thing. So you're constantly on this cycle of starting and stopping and renewing, starting and stopping and renewing. In fact, I'm not a fan of new year, new goals. You get what I mean? I don't like that. It's like what happened to the goals you were working on last year? That's the one that you should you should be looking at in 2026 and saying, okay, this one we pushed, we got this far. So in order to take it to the next level, this is what we are going to do again. So you are the same person with the same vision. And this only happens, by the way, this new year, new goals happens when you only set 12-month goals, because you're giving yourself 12 months to work on it. No, think bigger, think long term, so that you can look at it as truly a marathon and not a sprint. When you set, there are people who can't see beyond 1 year, and that short-sightedness keeps you grounded in the same place over and over again. You get stuck in that same place. But you can set your vision a bit broader, so that you can then see multi-year plan, have a multi-year strategy for how you're going to get there. That means that every new year, you'll first of all, you'll review what happened last year, and then you set new intentions, not new goals, but new intentions, new strategies, new systems, and new frameworks that will push you to the same level. If a framework or a system you worked with last year wasn't working, what can you introduce this year? So don't be that kind of person who is always setting new goals every single year. So trying harder doesn't fix a broken goal, that the goal was already written wrong. It doesn't fix a broken system, a system that was not set up to help you achieve that goal. Trying harder will not fix a problem of isolation. It will not fix a problem of irregular income. It will not fix, so all the things we've just discussed that are problematic, that will cause your goals to fail. If you just try harder is a very vague thing to do. And so it's like a mental effort for a system or logistical problem or a systemic problem, okay? So most goals fail because of what we've just said. They fail before execution. So even before you set out to do, before you set out to execute, to plan, it's already failed, because there's no plan, there's no strategy. The collapse happened at the point at which you are defining it. That plan, at the point that you are writing it, defining it, is when you failed, because you did it wrong. It wasn't clear. It didn't have a number. It didn't have a strategy. It didn't consider your potential challenges, internal or external, right? So at that point is where you failed. And so I want to help you. I want to help you in 2026 to overcome that, so that you can achieve it. I have a different story to tell in 2026. So not all the goals, I think I mentioned, not all goals are equal in the sense of even the amount of money, effort, and time required. Some goals, you're right, they look productive, but when you search a bit deeper, they are structurally weak. The structure is how you intend to achieve it. What have you set up in place so that the goal is achievable? So in itself, you can just say, I want to be rich, right? It looks like a good thing to have or to want or to pursue. But then if you don't have the system in place to actually make that happen, then it won't happen. Some of your goals are urgent, they feel urgent, but they are not for the season. They don't belong in 2026. Somebody mentioned, I don't know if she's here, but she talked about how in the past week we were spending some time with people just praying about financial goals. And she said for a long time, she has been wanting to build her mom a house, and the amount of money and all those things that it requires to do that, which is a great need to have. It's a great desire to have. It's a great thing to want to do. But now in qua reality, qua ground, she doesn't even have an emergency fund. You get what I mean? So like whatever she's trying to do feels urgent. Okay, let me say it feels important and urgent. I think the thing that is more urgent even in her situation is the financial goal more than the house. I mean, the emergency fund. Because in the event of anything happening, then she has a backup that will cover. But when it's not there, and all the money is locked up in a project that is incomplete, right? Then there's no other way to come out of it unless you borrow again. And when you borrow, what happens? You're digging a deeper hole. So you want to examine these things that you're attempting to do. Don't move with emotion, because it can feel urgent. It can feel like it has to be done now, this year. But is it really the right season? Okay, is it the right season? People who know me know I talk a lot about the ladder. The financial planning ladder helps you to know whether you're in the season to do the thing that you want to be doing, or you are setting yourself up to do. Some of your goals, they sound very spiritual, very important, but they are misaligned. They're not aligned to your values. So when you actually think about why you are doing certain things, you can't pinpoint how that goal is a reflection of you, right? It's important because the world has said it's important. But when you actually examine yourself, you realize that this thing I'm pursuing is actually not of me. I don't care much about it. So you are misaligned. And then some goals, they sound like they're yours. Okay, that's connected to what I was saying. They sound like you're yours, but they actually belong to someone else. So some of us are pursuing goals that are not ours. That you are pursuing your parents' financial goals or your family's financial goals, not yours. Or you're pursuing your friends, because we said this year sisi wote tuna X. For non-English speakers, we said that this year, all of us in our friends group, we have decided we are doing X. So it's not really your goal, right? It's not really somebody within the group told you guys to do it. And so you embodied it, you carried it as yours, but it actually belongs to someone else. So you need to learn urgency and also importance and also values. When you're able to put these three things together, then you are more persuaded that this is a thing that I must accomplish. When you're not persuaded is when it's very easy to drop them. It's very easy to reach in September and ask yourself, was this thing even that serious? If you can't answer why you are on that journey to begin with, that's when the goal ends. That's when it stops. That's when you throw in your towel and it stops there. Okay? So examine the things that you are working towards, even the ones that you did in 2025, especially the ones that you say you fail, quote unquote failed. So you can be active the whole year and still not advance. Your financial goals are not advancing. Just because you're making movement or you're moving money around especially, does not mean that you are actually making progress. There could be a lot of talk around you, but you actually are not clear. So it's important to have that sense of clarity. And this is all the reasons why financial goals fail. Pressure, like I said, especially when the goals are not yours, fear of the worst happening. When you make financial goals from fear, then the motivation is it doesn't have a staying power. You're fearful, you're afraid. Therefore, you actually end up making a decision based on that fear rather than the rationale of money. Let me give you a practical example. I worked with someone once who she did a really good job of having bonds. She had set up every month. She used to actually buy bonds. Every month she would put them and she would buy through her bank. And so it was an automated process, by the way. And then when the last election was happening, she was very sure. Was it the last one or the one before that? I don't know. I think it was the one before that. She was very sure that Baba was going to win, that this is the year he wins. And the moment he did not win, she also knew Kenya is going to the pits. That was fear. She was afraid the worst would happen. By then, she was telling me this in hindsight. I didn't know all this was happening when she was doing it. So because of the fear that she had that the worst was going to happen to the country, she went and pulled she liquidated all her bonds. That is fear. That is fear in action. in practicality. But some of you actually set the goal in fear. Like even by the time you're writing it, you're already fearful and making goals that are already set to fail. So after she liquidates all her bonds, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, they pass, 6 months, a whole year has passed and Kenya is still standing. Ask her where all that money went after liquidating. She can't tell you, she can't tell you what she spent that money on, what did she buy, how did it, was she able to put it back? She was not. So it all went to be spent on things, but it was a fearful decision. And this is why I was saying that by the time you're setting financial goals, you remove the emotional aspect. You almost assume as a human being, you don't have emotion. And what that means that when you ignore that emotion, what has happened is that you have buried your head in the sand in terms of even your own nature as a person. How well do you know yourself? Some of the reasons why your goals will fail is yourself, your behavior, your mindset, your anxiety, your fear. All of those things keep you from achieving your financial goals. So at the point of writing them, you also need to ask yourself, what's the thing that could happen that will keep this thing from happening? And that could be external, like, you could lose your job. That goal will not happen. It could also be internal. I know that I'm a spendthrift, and because of my spending habit, this goal is at risk. When you are aware and conscious of that, you can then set up systems in place so that the goal is achieved. Okay? And then if you do goals on comparison, you've not even considered your income, you've not considered the amount or expectations of certain people, or you're just on survival mode, and therefore you can't see beyond December 2026. So you are thinking short term, right? Survival mode, that's what happens. You can't really see you can't see long term, you can't see beyond the year. So that's problematic. Yeah. Let's do another exercise. Another exercise that will take you, I want to believe 3-4 minutes. So it's linked to the other assignment exercise we did. Those financial activities, hopefully they were tied to goals, if you had goals set on them. Which of those goals of 2025 drained you instead of strengthening you? Which one drained you? Maybe you even achieved it, but when you think about the effort, the emotional, physical effort that it took to make it happen, you feel like it drained you. Which one felt heavy from the start? Like even by the time you're saying, I'm going to do this, you sigh because you're just like, hey, which one felt like that? And then which one was a reaction rather than an intention? This is from your 2025 financial goals. I'm giving you 3 minutes to write those. All right. I'm seeing some of your responses online, and I feel like you're maybe not also understanding. Maybe you should have started by defining what a financial goal is. Expense tracking is a financial activity. It's not a goal. it's a thing you do to achieve something, right? So a goal is something you attempt to achieve that requires money, right? That means that either it will make me money or it will require money from me. So you can set financial goals on income. I want to be able to make this much every month by the end of the year, or by the end of the year, I have made a total of X. So how do I work towards making that happen? Or I want to buy a car, and that requires that I put aside X amount every month. Now, if I'm to put aside 50,000 shillings every month, yeah, and I'm earning 120,000 shillings, and my expenses are 60,000 shillings, for example. So I want to save 50, I spend 60, my income is 120. So there's a 10K, even let's say it's 70. Your expenses are 70K. What am I trying to say? You earn 120,000 shillings. Your expenses are 80,000 shillings. And you need to put aside 50,000 shillings. All right. So if you can do that math, 80 plus 50 is 130, but you earn 120. Now, because you want to make extra, you want to make an additional 10K available, then you might need to cut down your expenses. Now, you need to know which expenses am I cutting down. You track expenses so that you can see where your money is going and where it is being lost, so that you can then decide, I'm going to remove this particular expense in order to make 10K available for this goal. So as expense tracking is a means to an end, a goal looks at the end. So your inability to track expenses is the reason why your goal is not succeeding. Okay, I hope that's clear. So when I asked you which goal was heavy, expense tracking cannot be one of the things that is heavy, because it's not a goal in and of itself. Okay. Starting a business was draining. That I can see. Paying your loan was draining. I can see that. Paying loans was draining. I can see that. Yes. So just to make that clarity or that distinction. All right. I hope you've thought through your responses. So as 2026 begin, you cannot, if you come with the same method as 2025, with the same energy as 2025, you can bet you will have the same results as 2025. You'll actually have the very same results that you had in 2025. So first of all, you've done well by joining this workshop, because I want to show you something different, something that you can do differently, so that you can, both in how you set it up, but also in how you protect yourself, save yourself in terms of your framework, your system, your method, and even the forums that you should join to protect yourself from failing your financial goals. Okay. So if based on what we've just covered today, you have consistently followed the same method, and you're coming into 26 with the same energy, and you want to follow the same method, then you're going to get the same results. So somebody says is that foolishness is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping to get the same results. So if you want different results for 2026, then I want to ask that you stick around. Come again next Monday, so that we can then say this is actually how to do it more effectively. And then in the next Monday, this is how to bulletproof your goals. So today was not necessarily about SMART goals. Next week we'll talk about the SMART goals. It really wasn't also about vision boards. I think I saw somebody commenting on vision boards. I'm going to come back to that. Neither was it about hustle tactics. I just wanted to bring to light, why people fail and possibly why you failed, so that you don't do the same thing again. I want you to succeed, so I want you to do it differently. Before we talk about how to do the goal properly, we needed to answer what went wrong. Okay, so what kind of goals actually survive in real life? Some of what we've just discussed are the mistakes you made. That's why they didn't survive by 2025. They failed. So what kind of goals actually survive real life? There are goals that are based on your value system. There are goals that you are persuaded by. There are goals that are well written. There are numerical. The numbers have actually been put in terms of the goal at the end and even the effort in the middle. There are goals that are very conscious of the limitations and the challenges, potential challenges. There are goals that acknowledge you as the person who is going to execute them as your strengths and weakness. When you can see your own weakness, then you can put a workaround. Workarounds can be things like, as opposed to saving myself, I'm going to save with a group. As opposed to saving manually, I'm going to set up a standing order. Those are workarounds that you can put when you know you are the problem, especially internal. You are the one who causes internal challenge or limitation to your goal. If I lose my job, that's an external problem. That's an external challenge. So what will I do differently to make sure that my goal is set? You get what I mean? That's what I wanted to do. So part 2, we are going to set goals that actually work. How to do it I'm going to talk about two frameworks. One is one that I use with all my clients, but I'm going to talk about another one, a secondary one as well. And then in this third part, that should be part 3, how to bulletproof your financial goals. So what systems, what forums, what structures can you put in place? That's what actually bulletproofs your goal and makes it possible. Now, I want to spend some time answering the questions from people. As I do that, I want to ask, oh, is that Margaret on video? Wow, guys, let's clap for Margaret, who is on video. I love it. Well done. And Elizabeth has joined. Thank you. Okay, somebody is asking, please repeat the bit of goals that survive in real life. The goals that survive in real life are the ones, you see the things we discussed about why it fails. Like you don't have numerical numbers, you don't have, you didn't consider your own internal dynamics, you didn't consider the emotional pact as the person who is executing, all those things we discussed in the meeting. I just did the reverse. And if you've missed anything, I will send you the recording. So make time to watch, make time to do the exercise if you haven't done it, yeah? And, so that you can capture what was missed. Margaret was just about to go off video. I wasn't seeing. Thank you. And Anne has also joined you. All right. Kindly explain on timelines not matching as a reason why goals fail. In terms of, did I say timelines not matching? I said, first of all, you don't consider the timeline. Oh, yeah. So you can set a financial goal that essentially, when you look at it, it's not a goal that can be achieved within 1 year, but you are pushing it to put in 1 year. So you're looking at the amount of money it requires, the effort, financial effort it requires, and then the timeline you have put it with. So you're saying this is a 1 million goal, and I want to achieve it in 1 month, in 12 months, but you earn 100,000. So it's dynamic. It's not the same for everyone. You have to look at the effort, the amount, the goal, the effort, and the activity that it requires. Sorry, as I answer this question, let me say something. The way I wanted to communicate to send reminders was on email and also the WhatsApp channel. However, I've realized there's still some miscommunication happening. So the people are missing, like the guys who joined at 7 instead of 8 p.m. And so if you want, I opened a WhatsApp group. It's optional. You don't have to join it if you don't want to, but it might help with more effective communication. We've been trying to send the communication on the broadcast channel. So if you didn't get it, if you missed it, because I'm still seeing people asking questions, and I'm like, did we not put this link out here? Or did people not follow it? You get. So I want to just post there so that if you're interested, if you're interested in joining, you can join. Okay. So I'm trying to make sure that I get it so that we can post it for you there as I answer the questions. All right.
Juliet, I've managed to post it on the chat.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Afi. All right, so I hope you've understood that, Myla. Expense tracking, I've talked about expense. This says it looks like I had no goals. Okay, we do different in 2026. Gagosun says repaying loan back to Sima Sako was hard at first. Right now it's bearable. Well done. For some reason, the tracking being heavy still hits somewhere. The goals are failing because the habit can get overwhelming. Yes, so that's a habit. We said goals fail because you've not considered the habit that will be required to make the goal successful. So being able to track your expenses and budget is a habit for the goal. It's not the goal itself. So the goal needs to be clear, and then you also need to separate what habit. We will talk about that next week. So hopefully you'll join us. Starting a business was heavy. How about seeking opportunities as part of financial goals? Some require investment. Seeking opportunities like searching for a job. Is that what you mean? I wouldn't put that as a financial goal. That's an expense. When you are doing, I do something called value-based financial planning. I'll talk about it next week. So in that, you look at your values and the activities that value will bring. And some of those activities are like monthly expenses. If you find something requires money regularly, budget for that thing. But when you think about it as a big goal, an opportunity could be doing your master's or doing a PhD. That can be a goal because of the amount of money required in the effort. If you're planning to borrow to save towards a master's degree, you can set that as a financial goal. But if you're talking about or maybe the printing and submitting of CV and applications, or working with a coach, those would be monthly expenses that you would need to budget for. What of reducing expenses by only buying goods on offer so I can say window shopping was heavy? That wasn't a goal. Window shopping is not a goal. Reaction, not intention. Having an education policy, I was convinced. Yeah, the conversation on policies can go on and on. All right, I'm trying to see which questions. Okay, talking of financial goals, the financial ladder, what comes first? How are we able to plan to seek stability, something that mirrors Maslow's hierarchy of needs? What truly comes? Marianne, I really hope this is not Marianne Kimani, because I would feel like if you have gone through our mania, this is not a question you should be asking. If you're another Marianne, I will answer for your sake. So the ladder means that you pursue depending on your status. Right now, if somebody comes to me and say, Juliet, I need help with my finances, but you don't have income, like you don't have an active income coming, you're not employed, you don't run a business, but you want my help with your finances, you're not the person I'm going to say, oh, you should buy shares, you should buy bonds, you should, invest in offshore, because you don't even have money to eat or pay rent. That's not where you are. Those are not financial goals that are in your realm. Okay, so your primary financial goal should actually be revenue and income generation. Write a goal about how you're going to make enough money to live on. That should become a priority. So that comes first. That should come first in the financial planning ladder. Then after that, then you talk about building. Once you have income coming in, then you build your emergency fund. Once you have an emergency fund, then you start investing. If you have debt, then you can also clear the debt in the middle. I'm rushing through it because it's a whole process that we can go through. But if you're talking about like Maslow's, like should I be buying food before I mean, should I be building a house before I can buy food, before I can feed myself? That's also it can be, there's what is basic, like you have bills to pay. I have to pay rent, I have to eat, I have to pay my children's school fees. Those are necessary. So if you are, and this is what I was saying about competing priorities. So on one end, you want to invest for financial independence. On the other end, there's school fees to be paid. All right. So when you think about these two things, there's a question of priorities, but there's also a question of financial muscle, but then there's also a question of value system. Okay, so it's not the same across the board. So when I was referring to the financial planning ladder, I was referring to what should you be prioritizing as financial goals, to pursue as financial goals, in terms of your intention. So before you have income, you have no business talking about investing. Before you have income, you have no business talking about even, okay, you might borrow because man must eat, but now you're digging a deeper hole. So that debt needs to be paid. Okay, I hope I've really answered that question well. I now understand that I am an emotional saver. How do I deal with black tax? The black tax can be dealt with financially, numbers, perspective, and it can also be dealt with psychologically. If you don't have the number in terms of what can you actually afford to give, so start there and look at your finances, look at your income, look at the goals that you have, the bills you have, and then determine how much money actually within your ecosystem do you have to give. Right? Once you have that number, then now black tax becomes a question of communication and relationship management, effective communication and relationship management. Being able to say, you know what, I've been doing this for so and so, but I'm in a season where that's not possible. So some of us argue or struggle with black tax because we actually are afraid to say no. That's relationship management. You need wisdom in who you're talking to, how you talk to them, and how to get them to understand what you're saying. Because now if you are, you can actually be the reason why the black tax is continuing yourself. You are the reason you're the person who is, who feels guilty when you don't give. That's a you problem. It's not a them problem. Okay, so you need to deal with yourself first of all, and being able to say, actually, you know what, I can't do all these things. This is what I can do. Once you figure out what you can do, then you have to communicate. And when you communicate the first time, they won't believe you. In fact, they won't even respect you. So you have to say it again. They'll come this week, they'll come again next week. You have to learn to give the same response until the thing sticks, because it's a thing you've been doing for years. You won't wake up one day and decide, I'm not doing it anymore, and expect them to follow. So first you have to get clarity about what am I trying to do, therefore how much money is available for this, and which expense am I going to cater for, and then communicate that. Once you communicate that, then effect it. Effect it means that you have to keep saying it over and over again, even when you feel like what you're saying doesn't agree with what you feel. It's because you set a plan to begin with, in terms of how you're going to do that. Easier said than done, okay? But that's really the structure to go about it, how to think about it. Please touch on the relationship between childhood experiences, anxiety, and money. If I start, we'll stay here the whole night, unfortunately. It wasn't what was on our agenda for today, but I have a course that you can do. Just message me on WhatsApp or email me so that I can send you a link. It's actually a free course, online course that it's self-paced, so you don't involve me in the process. Can financial goals, or this was the question I saw, can financial goals be the same as what is in your vision board? Sometimes I set audacious goals, then boom, they collapse midway. So the problem with vision goals is that it's visual, but financial goals needs numbers. So you can put the numbers, you can put a vision so that you can see. Vision boards are supposed to work with your site to help you to see what you're working towards. But a financial goal is supposed to do the plan. So move the vision board to a plan, an actual execution plan, right? Don't be talking about manifesting and you're not doing anything to achieve that vision that you have seen. So the vision is just working on your sight and your ability to see the thing, but the plan, the execution is the reason why. If you don't put the plan in place, then it's audacious, but you don't know it's audacious because you didn't consider the amount of money required to execute that thing. So the financial goal is what will determine whether it's practical, it's realistic, or you're just, wishing in the stars. How do we account for the non-negotiables in this financial plan for next year? Non-negotiables are what we are referring to as your expenses that you have to pay rent, you have to eat, you have to pay school fees if you're paying school fees. Those are budget items. Okay, so a full financial system has your goals and has your tracked expenses and it has your budget. That system must talk to each other. All of those things talk to each other. So the vision, together with the income, together with your expenses, meet in the budget. That's how you deal with the non-negotiable. So when you're setting a plan for the future, you also have a plan. I mean, you're also considering the income you're making, and you're also considering your day-to-day expenses, right? So you can't separate. So the fullness of the picture. So the goals only look at where you are right now, but the budget. The goals look at where you want to go, but the budget looks at where you are right now and the practicality. So you have to tie that together. Okay, I want to believe I've answered most of the questions. Interested? All right. If you're in the group, we'll post in the group. We'll also post it together with the video. We'll send out this video as well on email on the broadcast channel. So I'll attach that course as well. All right. Yeah, I also want to finish. We want to finish at 9, and I think I've answered most of the questions. Oh, it's a different Marianne. All right, Marianne. Is there a question I've not answered? Okay, Anne was on video from the start. Okay, thank you, Anne. Finding a second source of income felt heavy. How about short courses? Short courses as investment, those are budget. That's a budget item. When I work with clients, we do a whole year budget. So by January, I know I have a course in August that I'm doing. How do I prepare to pay for that course in August? Budget for it. How about seeking opportunities? We've answered that. No is a complete answer. Okay, Victoria says, I've enjoyed today's class. Thank you. Awesome. I'm glad, Victoria, and I'm looking forward to having you. You're welcome for that clarification. And how does one set goals when you have irregular income? We'll deal with that next week. So come for next week's class. I'd be interested in the course. Look out for the link. We'll send the link. How can I deal with siblings who don't want to contribute consistently towards a common family goal? Then go back to whether the goal was important to begin with, like reassess, and then determine whether you want to continue together. Because you can't keep pushing. That's also heavy. That's what part of what could be heavy in terms of achieving a financial goal. So review. Go back to pull up selector, as they say, and go and have that conversation again and determine if you're going to do it alone, then it's going to take longer. So determine whether it is still important enough that you want to push doing it. Otherwise, then, it becomes a battle of carrying the weight of not just the goal, but also carrying activity. You could also, if it's a system problem, like they have income, but they forget or something like that, can we agree on a standing order, for example, and everyone to bring a copy of the standing order that I have a standing order running and it comes every X as a proof that this thing will happen. There could be systemic, it could be the person, when it's the person, it's harder to deal with. If it's just the way they're organizing and their finances, there could be ways to go about it. Okay, I would need context for that. Kusema na kutenda. Do you offer one-on-one coaching? I do. If you want to book a discovery call, I will share the link. Afi, please keep a record of the links I need to share. I'll share a link to book a discovery call if you want to work one-on-one. How can you help a stay-at-home mom who wants to go back to business? I do have a bit of a program where I deal with income, like how to monetize based on your proficiency, purpose, and passion. Yeah, it's a small course that I do regularly. Not regularly. Okay, at least within our money year, it happens in April. So we're going to cover it in April. On a one-on-one basis, it would mean doing like a business coaching thing, but it would need you to book a discovery call first. This was insightful. Thank you. Peter. Peter, you need to come back. You never finished the thing. You never finished our work, Peter. So I'm always looking for you to come back. Doing my degree, having the discipline to save and invest, but somewhere in the year I found myself withdrawing. So, well, if that's the reason why what were you withdrawing for? That's actually what I would want you to do. Put a list. When you look at the entire 2025, write down every time you started and what you ended up withdrawing for. You'll start seeing a pattern. When you see a pattern, ask yourself, how can I prevent myself from withdrawing for the same reason this year? And you put a plan in place. Like, yeah, be practical and don't just wish it won't happen again. You were to talk on something about Our Money Year. Yes, Our Money Year is our flagship program. We're still together, so I'm still going to share more information about it. It's a subscription program where you run through the whole year over different topics. So I'll give you the full details. At least I'll be able to break that down properly from next week. I just wanted to whet your appetite. Please do come. Some of us here have gone through 2025, so they'll be able to also share their testimonies. All right. We are done. You're welcome, Florence. You're welcome. I want to see you next week. I will share the recording. I will share the links that we need to share. At least we have a group. It's optional, like I said. I was trying to not require a group, but I'm seeing it's still affecting our communication. So if you join, then at least we'll be able to communicate a bit better. So I want to close it at that and wish you a wonderful evening and a good night. And I want to pray that I will see you next week. Again, if you feel like there's somebody who needs to be here with us next week, or at least needs to watch this recording, I hope you'll be able to share the recording with them, get them to sign up for the full workshop so that they can be with us in number 2 and number 3. All right. I guess that is it. See you next week. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Right.
Good night.
Good night, Juliet.